Good day to you. We meet again to have a fairly frank discussion and hopefully an informative one, a deep one, to identify this issue of kids losing themselves. And there's fisticuffs between parents and kids, and the school does not know often how to handle the issue. So the issue is not merely digitization and digital access. I'm Dr. Lalith Mendis and I have lectured on this many times because I was head of department of a state medical faculty in pharmacology, and the pixel effect is on the brain screen balance, and kids get dopaminergized. That is to say, the dopamine doesn't come down, it goes on instigating or moving them towards thrill and risk behavior. Serotonin has no time to work, so they are all the time on demanding mode, feeling not rewarded. They feel like that. So their empathic intuitive tract, we function in our brain with 7 brain tracts. This is not a psychological lecture as such. This is what every parent ought to know, and I'm hoping this clip, kids and parents and teachers will sit together and watch and get understanding and hope. There is not discussing of a problem only, it's providing solutions as we go along, giving everyone hope that this can be done better. So I'm also based on the fact that we have a promise that children are the heritage of the Lord, which means our best investment is our children. We are agreed on that, isn't it? We are to keep them on our bow, our life circumstances, life opportunities, and shoot them like an arrow to their best height and their best distance in every season. For this, God has given us a seed bag, and seed bag means our relationships, our abilities, talents, wealth level, connections, opportunities, doors. God gives to all a fair measure, because God is known to be equally fair to all. He does not play favorites. Even when parents don't have much scope, God adds the God scope into this kid's inside. So every kid grows from his inside, feeling a stature he knows he can. I want every parent to grasp this. He grows feeling a stature he can. I can get up to this stature, this height inside me, and that height, that stature in my inside makes for me the outside scope, dimensions. And when parents work with God the Father, the Good Shepherd, certainly we can get there. So every child has a good proposition. So the first tract is the empathic intuitive tract. Digitization separates the kid from himself, but he's no more talking to himself. He's talking to influencers, TikTok and other digital platforms, whom he does not know, and there's no relationship of a personal nature. There's no touch and intimacy and nearness. It's from far away, all technical stuff and technical jargon. All his thoughts are made by outside influences without forming our thoughts and getting our attention span. We do not know who we are, because who we are is the sum substance of our thoughts and relationships. So they have lost themselves before they lost their curriculum and their career choices and their outside relationships with parents. They have lost their relationship with themselves. So they are functioning in their brain like a computer, and they don't know who they are, what they are going for. When you sit with them, I have seen 300, 400 kids of different natures and issues, because when I lectured in schools, parents wanted to come and meet me with the kid. So I sit with father, mother and the child, and I speak to the child directly, getting out from him where he thinks how things are going on. So I don't ask parents for complaints. I engage a dialogue. I engage the kid, how he feels about everything. So his personality is stunted. She cannot face challenges. Being used to perfect digital games designed to win, any failure in life becomes unbearable. So every little hitch is a big problem. They can react, and then where friends they are involved, they can take drastic decisions because failures are terrible. It's as if they have lost everything. Because perfect digital games, you can design to win. Any failure in life is unbearable, hence the suicide option. Then OCD, depression are common. Obsessive compulsive behavior, depression, multiple personalities. They behave at different times, but depending on whom they are following on TikTok or whatever. That is also there. It's not only that the kid is isolated from others, but is also isolated from his own growing personality. They may take on multiple personalities of influences they follow. So what's the solution? We have to plan with the child to do what he or she likes. They really like, support them in it. Engaging in physical touch for cookery, art, molding, knitting, pottery, gardening, pets, all are things that brings back to them that empathic, intuitive application for their sake, the things they want to do. Of course, we want to get to studies, but if you start scolding about non-performance in study, you lose the child. So you start at the point of what do you like to do, darling, and help them in that so that their inner empathy grows. Empathic, intuitive track is the place to begin before we insist that they do their studies. Of course, they must get to their studies. So dyspathy, of meaning not liking themselves, is also a problem. So when you get their fingers on to do other things, you are getting their fingers out of the screen as long as possible. That's a good strategy. So dyspathy is not liking yourself, not liking studies or teachers or parents. So when you are not bonding inside, integrity inside, integrating the things you like to do, because man is so much being as he is doing. We can't be being without the doing. Certainly, doing is not the only facet of being, but being comes from also doing. So we get with them, we do things they like to do. Otherwise, their brain does not get into a initiation, navigation, successful conclusion, reward. The default mode network track doesn't work in them. Certainly, if they get to know the shepherd, the good shepherd, the Lord Jesus, the Savior, then they have an inner voice speaking into them, because they can't trust any voice. They are not used to hearing an inner voice. Now, if we grow our personality, normally we begin to hear our own voice speaking. We are spirit, that we have a heart, we have a conscience like umpire telling us right and wrong, we have emotions. So we have a conversation within us about others, about ourselves, about our hopes, about our fears. They don't have an inside conversation where all their feeding comes from the input they get from the screen and outsiders, powerful influences. They are following other people's thoughts rather than a way of life made inside them. We have to understand this and work with it in compassion. And heart-brain bonding is reality. As the heart engages, brain becomes brilliant. Most hearts ends up with better brain. So let's get them into hearty, empathic relationships. Secondly, develop the empathic relational tracks. Any team activity is good for this. Which gets kids off the screen will be useful. Pets, improve touch, then bonding and empathy. Then any sports is good for this, because they will have to do sports with others. Then teaching what they like to teach: music, art, piano, violin, cookery, sport, or of course subject matter, to a sibling or friend, engages them in relating to someone with a focus. That's the important thing. Otherwise, the screen has taught them to be without focus, just going from one thing to the other. They'll often come and say, I can't concentrate, because for a long time they haven't concentrated even for 15 minutes on one thing, because the TikTok is less than 1 minute. So there are so many 1 minute stuff. Yeah, or less than 1 minute stuff. And so many diverse themes that they have just tasted and seen, and they lost their normal taste for thinking process. We can inculcate this. Teaching what they are able to do to a friend or a sibling. The close space syndrome is so many things people have moved out of their life. So many things have moved out of their life. They are by themselves with very few chosen digital friends. When we see this danger sign, all the time locked up in their room, we have to prevent it as much as possible, not with cajoling, coercing or fighting, but with pleading and interacting with them in the things they like to do. That's the important thing. Maybe go out and eat at a favorite place of theirs, even if this means every day to go out and eat, not spend a lot, but that just the activity of going out to some pleasurable place. Keep in touch with your kid. Yes. Then mom alone can't handle the problem. Father must get involved in it. Then for language track, the third tract in our brain, functional tract, this is Professor Howard Jenner's theory, is the language track. So we get back to reading books, good story books, depending on the genre and what your child's inclination is, and somehow we get them to write down notes at least 50% of the time, even when they are studying online. So any measure of writing, artwork helps. So get them into that. Thirdly, the management mathematical tract. Usually we are on this, we are designed. The God design is a 1 hour tract of 45 minutes of salience, focus, and working or studying with dopamine managing that. And then next 15 minutes we do a check back. How do I improve? With serotonin coming in for the reward motive, satiety. You did that well, you need to improve on that. That process goes inside us. So this is lost when kids are very digitized. So we try to get them to have a timetable, 1 hour timetable. So in the morning, dad sits with and says, darling, what time are you coming from school? 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3 to 4, what shall we do? So it's not a pressure, 3 to 4, maybe just relax. Sports, music or whatever. But get them to be conscious of the hourly pattern, and they pre-plan what that hour will have and try not to break up in between. Do the thing for that 1 hour. Of course, we know 45 minutes study and relaxation is fine. Yes. So we try to get them off multitasking on many digital platforms and many digital gadgets without having fisticuffs, without arguments. Then for management mathematical track, it's also good to have board games and card games, dad himself sitting together, organizing a little time of it. All those are useful things. Then fifthly, we have the kinesthetic track. Dopamine jitteriness has to be shifted to glutamate control of rhythmic joint movement. So we have in Borella our center, then and there, Empathic Learning Center and Empathic Motor Therapy Center. It's a 3,600 square feet, like a gymnasium with calisthenics and with grips and ropes. It looks like a challenge course. So when their fingers and toes are gripping, the natural neurochemical transmitter glutamate begins to overtake the dopamine. So what we are doing is shift them from pixel kinesthesia, the pixel screen playing on their neurons, into coordinated rhythmic kinesthesia of sports and games. More every muscle of the body doing their joint activity, more the thinking tracts of the brain also begin to alive with the motor movement, with the physical movement you think and do, rather than pixels playing havoc in your brain. You know what pixels are: the pixel screen, the digital screen, LED screen. Yes, so table tennis, carom, where the table tennis where the ball is quick to return and that take aim, and barefooted on a lanupadura, rough carpet, doing table tennis is very good. Then on a sand track, all that recovers the brain. Grips and ropes, thrill, sports, I call it guards. All that is good. You can have a sand track at home also. Any sport, gardening, pets, outbound training, all that is good. Outbound training as a physical activity. We have one outbound training in Jayala, a 5-acre campus, and the Colombo one is a den and dare gymnasium. If you come there, you'll think it's a gymnasium. So you can ask, give my secretary's telephone number is 077-151-2801. You can give her a telephone call and book an appointment. There's no cost to this because this is a research project and to help kids and parents to do it together. Any other clip on this subject or any other subject that I have done before, you can send a WhatsApp to 074-211-5011. Then the 6th track we want to retrain is acoustic track. Main thing is with earphones all the time in their ear, they will not concentrate. So we have to wean them off that and give them a period of time. Also, the very music that moves them to kinesia and body movements all the time will also stimulate their temporal lobe, imagination, and their prefrontal cortex study will be inhibited when the temporal lobe is bombarded with that kind of music. So what happens is they become dreamy, imaginative, they live on another planet kind of thing. We have to retrain them. We have to explain to them the science. That's what I do when I meet the kid. I don't criticize them. I don't criticize their culture. I just explain to them the scientific consequences of what they are doing. Then the 7th track is the visual track. Pixels on screen and LED light contributes to blue light, which interferes with concentration, memory, and sleep. One of the best things we can do for them is recover sleep. Because they sleep at all different times, so we have to get them to sleep at 11, wake up at 5:30. Then your night bioclocks and other brain tracks work with melatonin, and when you wake up at 5:30, the early morning sunlight transitions you into working with daytime bioclocks smoothly. If you wake up at 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning, suddenly your memory pattern does not stay. You will find that you are not concentrating. You will find that you haven't had your normal dream cycles, which are all part of the physiology. I have done extensively on this. So today my concentration is recover your son's personality. And if you are a son and daughter listening to, you can recover your personality because God created you in His image with the best potential in you. You need not try to be someone else. You can be you can be the best that God made you to be. That's my plea. At least in the home section in which disturbed kid is, reduce the use of blue light and LED lights. Screen uses exposes retina to blue light, which reduces melatonin secretion, and all brain refurbished programs that should happen in the night. And dream life is affected. Restoring sleep is a very important step. So this talk is about recovering yourself, getting back to the best personality God has for you, and the Good Shepherd will help you. Let's get on to it with hope. You can come and meet me. Appointment is from 077-151-2801. If you want a clip like this, please send a WhatsApp to 074-211-5011. I am Dr. Lalith Mendis, Director, Colombo Empathic Learning Center. Thank you for listening.